Hey guys, and welcome back. I am so excited to share these fun pop-up cards for the August Scrap and Stamp blog hop. These pre-cut card kits are a fantastic way to make a big impression with your cards. They are really simple to use and they come in 2 different sizes and I believe 3 different colors. The A2 size pop-up card measures approximately 4¼ by 5½ inches, and then the square one measures 5.75 inches by 5.75 inches, and both cards will fold flat for mailing. So this one here is the larger of the 2, and each one comes with 3 of these little inserts. They are really great because they're pre-cut and they're pre-scored for you. This is the A2 white size card. Again, it will have 3 little inserts. And then this is the cream one, and again, 3 little inserts that you can put in there. Now you don't have to use all 3, but it just gives you some options on how many different kind of layers you want to your scene. I'm going to start off by showing you how these kind of fold over. This is the largest of the 2 sizes, so this is that 5.75 by 5.75, and I'm going to use my bone folder here just to reinforce these fold lines. And I'm going to start off here with this little tab on the left, and that is actually where you will put your adhesive to put the card together. And just going through and just really reinforcing these folds or these score lines, it really helps when you're putting your project together. I'm going to speed it up here. I'm just again folding over these little flaps and making sure that they're going to fold nicely. And they will actually get folded to the back. So when you are putting it together, your adhesive goes on that tab, and then it creates this little rectangle, this back flat part here. It has no score line. That's where your focal image is going to be, and then you can have your little images on those flaps so you can write your sentiment. This is the smaller of the 2 sizes. I'm going to go ahead and just reinforce those scores again and those folds. It just makes things a little bit easier for me when I'm working with it. And then that you can see is a square, and then you can see it fits into an A2 size envelope there. So I ran through that really quickly, but this is quite a long video, so I want to get through it. So yeah, one is going to be more rectangle and one's going to be square. And I'm just measuring here to make sure I know what sizes of cardstock I can do. I'm going to start off by using this Happy Holiday Helpers, and with the magic of YouTube I can quickly cut those out, and I just fussy cut those out and I just colored with Copic markers. So I have a choice here of all these little embellishments that I can use, and for the first one I am going to be using just the smaller size. So I went ahead and measured and then cut out with my silhouette just some patterned paper here. If you don't have a silhouette machine, not a big deal. You can still do these little panels, and I'll have the sizes that you can cut those down to over on my blog. So make sure you check that out, as well as hopping to all the other blog posts showing these really cool pop-up cards. So I'm just going to use some liquid adhesive here. This helps me have some wiggle room when I'm putting down this panel, and I'll just lay out where I want these panels to go, using that acrylic block there just to help me get a good adhesion of the liquid adhesive. Now you don't have to decorate these panels if you don't want to. You can keep them blank and you can just write your messages on there, but I like to add, just kind of extend the scene a little bit more for these. And like I said, I used my silhouette machine and I just printed a pattern on these little panels here to go with my Christmas theme on this first one. I really like this Lawn Fawn Holiday Helpers stamp set because the images are perfect size for this smaller pop-up box. I just used some of that anti-static powder, just because I had some liquid adhesive that kind of squished out and I didn't want it to stick too badly. So what you're going to do on the other side of your panel, I flipped it over here, and this is will be the bottom portion of the box. I want to have some images on there as well, or to have some of that pattern paper. And if you want, you can as well apply these little panels on the underside of those flaps. I didn't on this. I wasn't really concerned about it on this one. I just wanted to make sure that there was something on the tops of the flaps where that red part is, as well as the bottom portion, so that when I fold it over here you can see that the scene is nice and kind of flows smoothly. I'm using my score tape here. It's a really strong adhesive on this little tab, just so I know that the box is not going to come apart. The little Christmas tree that you see there, that is actually from a Simon Says stamp set called Christmas Squad, I believe it is. I didn't have any other little small Christmas trees that would work, but this one seemed to fit nicely on that back panel. So you can see here that you can fold that card flat and you get different views of how it can lay down. And I'm just trying to get an idea of where to adhere that little Christmas tree. And then using my little tweezers there so I don't get my fingers all gluey. And you can just lay that down. And then now what we're going to do is, you can see how that box is formed. Now I'm going to get my little insert panels here. And there's 3 of them. I'm going to fold those over and just reinforce the folds. And again, I'm going to be using some really, really strong score tape for these. So again, just making sure that all these little pieces, in this one I used all 3. And you can see how I just slide them in. And you kind of want them spaced fairly even in there, otherwise you won't be able to get all 3 in, but they push in nicely together. And then I can kind of see how that's going to work where I want my little images to go. So you can see there, they're all in there. Now I'm going to put down my adhesive. Again, that's strong score tape, so I make sure that it doesn't come apart. And just burnishing that down. And I had a little bit extra there I needed to trim off. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert these little bridge pieces or little tab pieces inside and pushing them down. And then what you can do is you can fold the box to the left and right and push down, just making sure that that is pressed firmly and the adhesive is sticking to your cardstock. So again, you just do this for each one of the little tabs that you want inserted into your pop-up card box. And again, just removing that adhesive, I like to use my craft pick. And it just slides in nicely. And then you can make sure that it is going to stick by folding again to the left and then to the right. And then the last piece here. This really gives your scene a lot of dimension. So if you're using all 3 of the tabs, you're going to want to have quite a few images that you are going to stick into that card piece there, and I'll show you once we're done. Again, just pushing it down to the left and right, making sure that that adhesive is sticking everything down. And now you can see my little elements here. I love these 2 little elves. I thought they were absolutely adorable, and just to kind of work with the scene, I wanted to set up that they were you know, getting everything ready for the Christmas tree. And what I've pulled out was my clear acetate, and that's how I'll be adhering them down. I just use a craft knife here to cut a slit so I can put this little train inside this box image that I colored, and then it has that little bow, so then I can just kind of glue them all together. So I'll glue the bow on top of the lid of that box there. And then I actually flip this over, and I'm just going to be using some washi tape just to keep that little train in place. And then liquid adhesive for the rest here, and I'll have my tweezers, reversible tweezers, just holding that together. Alright, so I cut that acetate into thin little strips, and again, using that strong score tape, I'm going to start gluing or adhering the little images onto these stilts. I'll call them little stilts. And that just, it allows me to set up my scene, but not have the images needing to be right down to the bottom of those tabs. It gives it a little bit of dimension, and you can still see through that adhesive. And that little ducky, oh my goodness, he's so adorable. I kind of play around with the images and how I want them to lay out. In the beginning here, I start really just adhering them to these little stilts, and then I'll figure out where I want them to go once I'm done. Some of them I do adhere to that back flat panel piece of the card. And then these guys, they're so adorable. I thought it would be fun. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and adhere that box right to that back panel. You can see I'm trying to figure out where I want it to lay. I believe I do adhere that right down to that one back tab, and I'm using my reversible tweezers just to hold that in place while it dries just a little bit. And then these little elves, I thought it would be fun with these little mugs. I thought you know, after they worked so hard getting those presents and everything ready that they could have a cup of cocoa with each other. And so I thought I would put those in their little hands. And then I'm going to put those little guys on the acetate stilts as well. So now I start building up my scene here. I'm going to start putting that adhesive to the bottom of those stilts and then just gluing it on the back side of those little tabs. And this one I had too long, so I cut it down. And just pressing it down, and then you can see that it's really starting, that scene is really starting to come alive and build up. So it's just a matter of where you want to adhere these little elements. There's many different sets that you can use from Lawn Fawn that would work well. They're small enough images, and there's actually another Lawn Fawn stamp set that I'll be using later on that you can see. This little doll, she's so adorable. I can imagine someone waking up on Christmas morning and receiving her. Thought that would be awesome. And then I'm going to put my little helper elves in front. I thought they would be kind of the main focus. That little list, I'm going to put that right underneath the tree. And then as well as that little bear, I thought would be cute under the tree. And then I put a little candy cane on the little boy elf's hand. And then now we're just getting ready to put our little elves on their stilts. And I'm going to put them right in front on that front tab. Now if you wanted, you could, if you have the coordinating dies, you could cut out blanks of those coordinating dies and glue them to the back side so that you didn't see either the Copic coloring bleeding through on them or see the stilts. It didn't really bother me that either of those things were showing. I thought, you know, the main focus, people are really going to be looking at the front of the card, not necessarily the back. So for me, it wasn't really a big deal. But if it does bother you, by all means, go ahead and do that and make sure the back looks as clean as the front if that's something you're interested in. Again, this score tape is really great if you want to make sure that your pieces aren't going to fall off or come apart. And then that's it. You can see that if you fold it to the left or right, it looks cute. And I just love how they kind of move around. I did want to give these a little bit more stability. I did adhere them lower down, and I didn't want them to move too much, just a little bit. I didn't want them to be too flippy floppy. Alright, so we are almost at the end of this card. The last thing that we will need to do is, of course, our sentiment. So for this, I just did a simple sentiment. This was a Simon Says stamp. I think the tiny Christmas words. This one worked perfectly for this little banner here. And so I'll just stamp that down with my Versaclair Nocturne ink. It's my favorite sentiment ink. And just put this right on that flap of the card. Now because my banner is a little bit bigger than, or it hangs off the side on the right hand side there, sorry, both the right and the left hand side, this will not fit into an A2 size card. It is, our envelope, it is just a wee bit bigger. So if I would have placed the banner either to the left or to the right more, it could have fit in. But I really like how that turned out. I think it's a lot of fun. It gives a great dimension, and the scene is so adorable. And then you can add your little writing or whatever your comments on the card. You personalize it either on the back of that panel or underneath or on the sides there that we didn't adhere anything down onto. So I'm just putting this into the envelope. You can see that it does fit, although that little banner is just a little bit long. So I'll have to use just a one size larger envelope, or I'll have to score my envelope just a little bit more. But yeah, I really like how that one turned out. I think it's super sweet, and I think it's a fun way to send a Christmas card. Alright, so we're going to be moving on to our next card. For this one, I'm actually just going to show you quickly how I decorated the panels. This is the larger of the cards. This is that 5.75 by 5.75, and I wanted to do some ink blending, and I'm just using this piece of computer paper here to mask off. In the beginning, I thought I just wanted to do some ink blending on the back panel. In the end, I ended up ink blending the whole thing just to carry the scene, you know, to have a more fluid scene. I'm starting off with this Squeeze Lemonade. These are my favorite colors for creating a galaxy scene. So I start off with this yellow color in the middle because I want it to get darker as it goes out to the edges. And if you want, you can use your picket fence brushes for this. I find that the Tim Holtz, these foam blending brushes, give more of a kind of a deeper color, and so I thought this would be a better way to go for this galaxy scene. The next one I'm using here is that picked raspberry. I like it with that Squeeze Lemonade because it creates just enough of an orange. It's hard to see in the video, but it gives a really nice orange kind of look to it. Next is Chipped Sapphire, and I'm just tapping my blending brushes off on the right there just so I don't get that heavy circle impression when I first start laying down the ink. And working my way out to the edges, giving that really kind of dark, almost an ominous theme to it when it's done here. So this is the Chipped Sapphire. The next color that I'm going to be going to is my Dusty Concord. So I'm probably going to speed this up here a bit just so you don't have to sit through all this blending, because it does take some time, but it is so worth it in the end. And then once I get that down, I move back to the Chipped Sapphire just to deepen up and richen up that blue. And then the Black Soot is what I do on the edges, just to give it more depth. So you can see how that's looking. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm using this Hero Arts White Iridescent Shimmer Spray. And I should do this outside, but I sprayed it inside and then I let it sit, and then I put my microfiber cloth on over top. Just to kind of dab up any excess, and you can see the amazing shimmer and sparkle that you get with this. It just really helps create that starry galaxy look. I just love how that turned out. So I ended up, you know, just ink blending the whole thing. So you can see here the cute little images that I cut out. I did some heat embossing for the sentiment there. Each image I did fussy cut out. I adhered them with the little acetate stilts again. And I think this stamp set is the Clearly Besotted Out of This World set. So you can see that I did do the ink blending. The only thing I didn't do, and I should have done, you can see the white tabs here. I didn't ink blend the tabs on both sides, and I should have done that. I would do that next time if I was to do this card again, just so that you can't see that white. But I really loved how this turned out. I love that I carried that ink blending all the way through, so you don't have to like do your little panels. I did put a wink of Stella on the rocket ship and the star there, as well as the rings of the planet and the spaceship. So there's that one. My third card here is really clean and simple. This is again another Lawn Fawn set, and I just love how this turned out. This is the Keep on Swimming. On the back there I cut out a panel. It kind of looks like wallpaper. It's hard to see there, but you'll be able to see it in the pictures. And then this blue thing here, it looks, the blue panel, it kind of looks like a rug to me, I thought that was kind of fun with the little fringes. And then on the bottom here it kind of looks to me like marble or granite flooring. So I thought that was a really fun way to kind of create a homey feel to this card. And I love the sentiment, I can't take my eyes off of you. Just so much fun. And that little puppy is from the Lawn Fawn set. What was it? He is from the Say What Pets. So here's a quick look at all the cards that I made today. So much fun. There's so many options that you can do with these cards. And I think the recipient will absolutely love receiving these. So if you are hopping along on the blog hop, make sure that you leave comments on everyone's post. I thank you so much for joining me today. As always, if you are clicking through the links to make purchases, we do receive a small little commission on that, and that helps us keep these videos going. So thanks so much. Remember to subscribe and have a wonderful day, you guys.